Well, it looked as if the NFL lockout was in its final minutes Thursday night, but the upcoming season is still in doubt. Last night, the owners overwhelmingly approved an agreement that would end the 4-month-old work stoppage, but the players said not so fast. After holding a conference call, the Players Association decided not to vote on the agreement tonight, saying some issues have not been resolved. For more on the NFL's labor limbo, we are joined on the phone by Edholm. He's a senior editor for Pro Football Weekly. Thank you for joining us. So tell me, what is the holdup right now?
Well, DeMortis Smith, the executive director of the NFLPA, informed some of the leadership members of his constituents that he had not received a formal offer, the one that the owners approved in Atlanta, and thus was not able to recommend going to a vote to the players yet. And so he said, until I've seen all the details of the deal, we're not ready to vote. Now, later in the night, we found out that the NFLPA said they had received a formal offer from the owners. The owners have said, hey, he's had it all along. So there is a little bit of a he said, she said thing going on there. But it sounded like Smith and his coworkers worked well into the night Thursday night and were prepared to maybe take more significant action Friday morning.
Now, can you just back up for a second? For the owners, what was the sticking point that they resolved overwhelmingly to get the deal among the owners? What was their holdup?
Yeah, I mean, there was obviously various sticking points on workmen's compensation, on a couple of economic details that were still lingering, in the CBA offer. There were just some things that were considered to be minor hang-ups. Everybody agrees on both sides that the guts of the deal, the majority of the economic factors had already been agreed on. And it sounded like Smith Thursday night was telling his players, based on people that I talked to who listened to the call, it sounded like he just wanted to make sure that the owners hadn't tried to slip anything in at the last minute, that they hadn't tried to include details that hadn't already previously been negotiated. So maybe like a bait and switch type of situation. They wanted to guard against that. Some players were upset that the owners kind of had a celebratory tone, that they were already sort of forcing the players' hand by acting as if this lockout really was over, when, actually it wasn't.
Because the players have not yet agreed. Now, before the players can vote on the owners' offer, don't the players have to reform their union? And how difficult will that be?
Yeah, that's part of the process, and it's going to be interesting to see how it's done. Now, I've been told by NFLPA sources that the B certification process is one that took months. They had to get signatures, hand signatures on cards from dozens, of NFL cities all across the country, something that took a long time to do. Now they're hoping to sort of get some kind of courier involved in doing this, but it's hard to believe in this day and age that they couldn't do some sort of electronic signature, do it by email or phone. I think what they fear is that with 1,900 players represented by the NFLPA, it could lead to somewhat of a logistical mess if they try to do it electronically or over the phone.
Okay, final question. Is there anything that can happen now that could derail all of the progress? And what is your best guess about everyone signing on to a deal to end the lockout?
Thursday night to a lot of people on the outside looked like doom and gloom. Twitter was ablaze with people asking, are we going to have an NFL season? Right when, like you said, it appeared we were on the verge of it. I suspect that once the NFLPA leaders have had a chance to go through item by item, line by line, and investigate the details and make sure there's no funny business, there's nothing that's been added or changed or altered at the last minute, that they will recommend to go to a vote on Friday and eventually approve this thing. If it lingers into the weekend, that means there's just a few procedural tie-ups that could happen. However, I was told that there is a doom and gloom scenario, a worst-case scenario that Smith did paint if there was, some misgivings in there, that, hey, this thing may last a long time. So there is still that chance things could blow up.
So right now, the only thing that's going to be lost for the football season is the cancellation of the August 7th preseason game. We'll see if that will be the worst of it. Edholm from Pro Football Weekly, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for your insight.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.